right now. Listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth. Right now.
Ooh.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody. Showtime.
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
It's 3:07. Live on a Tuesday, January 3rd in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and we are back in the saddle again in studio. I've got a different set of earplugs in my head, and they're not sounding right, so that's why I'm being so goofy right now.
And they're green, Mac, so it looks like green ooze is falling out of your ears.
Oh, yeah, I know. All right, well, can you give me more volume, or is that like maxed out? Okay, all right. So, welcome back on the radio. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, watching the chat. Were you in it all last week, other than the day we did the show with whoever we did the show with?
No, just the one day.
Wednesday, right?
Wednesday?
Yeah, it was Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because Betty and Dick had to leave on Thursday.
Okay, yeah. Then it was Wednesday.
Yeah, I came in every day and worked. You know that?
No.
I came in, didn't I, Frank?
Yeah, you was in a lot.
What I did is I sat either where Chris is or where Frank is, and I allowed the guest host to be the host, and they interviewed me on questions about Israel.
So how did you feel about that?
Being interviewed?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's very comfortable for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say I'd prefer it, but there's lots of times when I, directing this orchestra up here, and for those of you that listen, you know this, and if you're a brand new listener, I'll just share with you, I'm not a leader. I'm a facilitator. I want to hear what Frank has to say, and Chris has to say, and Bob has to say, and more importantly, I want to know what you have to say. I'm not a pontificator. I'm not... I always have someone else on the radio with me. I don't mind pontificating every once in a while. It's kind of fun. I get to bare my soul a little bit. Go ahead. What?
I was going to interrupt your pontificating to say you're good at it, though.
Well, thanks. It's only what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
I can't pontificate about, NASCAR. You could probably pontificate about NASCAR, couldn't you, Frank?
Sure, since I've been watching it since I was probably 6 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so here we are. We're back. It's Tuesday, the 3rd of January, and today I'm just gonna. I've got Rabbi David Kaufman coming in next hour. Because one of the things that happened to me. There's several things that God moved in my life in this past trip. What do you want? Something to write on?
Yes. Oh, nothing. I got it.
Right over there. Scratch paper. That's where we keep the scratch paper. We see that big stack? That's been there for 2 years. That's every piece of scratch paper that I do because Frank puts it there. So, one of there's a couple things that God really moved on me on this trip. I asked God in prayer over and over and over to reveal himself to me during this trip. In return, he told me that I needed to be humble, which in my book is teachable. I need to be open to some things he wanted to show me. Because they weren't going to toe the line, as I like to put it. They weren't necessarily going to be something that I had previously agreed with or disagreed with. And one of those things that he worked on me with is the Palestinian-Israel situation. I got to talk to Bibi Netanyahu. And I got some perspective there. I got to talk to the mayor of Bethlehem, and I got some perspective there. But one of the things I prayed for was that God would put people around me on the plane that wanted to talk. And this really comes from Jill, my assistant, who was really scared that I'd be on the plane next to somebody who didn't give a rat's behind about anything I had to say, and I would only drive them crazy until they finally, poured grapefruit juice over my head. And God did that. And if you followed the trip on Facebook, you know that the first blog that I wrote was called Mac by the Numbers. And it was about 3 conversations I had at 35,000 feet when it was 86 below outside and we were rolling at about 800 mile an hour. And the reason I knew that is they have those little screens on the back of the headrest. So I had I don't know how big it is. How big is that? Like a shoebox, kind of?
Like a small iPad?
Small iPad,
Okay.
like a tablet. Yeah, there you go, is a tablet size. And one of the features that it had is you could track, literally a little plane would be flying across from your your place of starting to your destination. And this little plane would fly over. And then the next screen would come and tell you the miles per hour, the temperature outside, the elevation. And then the third screen would tell you how long you'd been on the plane and what time it was where you were going. And it was mundane, but it was fun. And so the first blog I put out, I talked about the people that were sitting on both sides of me and a flight attendant that I had the opportunity to meet. So on the way home, God put me next to a woman by the name of Mary. Mary is a retired United States Army human resource director. She was in Israel, Palestine, Bethlehem, because she's doing a documentary on the plight of the Palestinian people. Oh, by the way, she's full-blooded Palestinian. She's going to be on with us on Thursday. And David Kaufman, Rabbi Kaufman, is going to be on next hour, and we're going to talk about some of this Israeli-Palestinian stuff. And I don't want to talk about the politics of it. I want to talk about the human side of this. And Bob, you jump in whenever you want to here, but Bethlehem was anything but a nice little town with a manger in it. When we walked out of our hotel 20 yards, probably not even 20, 15 yards from the front door of our hotel was the wall that Israel has put up to keep Palestine in. 3 blocks from us is the checkpoint that we had to go in and out of every day and show our papers. And then you get a block away and you're in this incredible Middle Eastern community of Jerusalem. But behind you is this ghetto. Am I being too hard on that word, Bob?
Well,
I want to hear your opinion, not just mine. You were there too.
Right. I don't want to insult people, but it was run down. I mean, the difference between one side of the wall and the other was very obvious. And the streets were in disrepair. I mean, you could not sleep in a vehicle if you wanted to when you were driving, just because the roads were constantly, you're hitting bumps and potholes, and then you were hitting your brakes or accelerating because there was almost like no traffic control whatsoever there. So it was way more chaotic than on the other side of the wall.
And they all drive very polite, don't they?
Oh.
Well, there's no signals,
And just so
there's
I'm
no
clear,
stop signs, there's no red lights, green lights, yellow lights. Go, Scotty, go.
and you know that I've got the ADD. So on which side of the wall, like the Palestinian side of the wall, it was in disrepair, or the
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
and we call it Bethlehem. They call it Palestine.
Okay.
They call it Bethany. We call it Bethany. They call it Palestine. and what Israel has done, and it's brilliant warfare strategy. Because as Netanyahu told me, we're in a war. Just nobody fired a shot today. But they're constantly in this war between the Palestinian state and the Israeli state. And we were there when this whole Donald Trump Syria UN negotiations, Obama gets back in the middle of it mess. And it was a buzz everywhere we went, especially when people found out we were American. They wanted to talk about Trump. You know, Trump's a big thumbs up to Israelis and a big thumbs down to Palestinians. Is that right? Would you agree with that?
Well,
don't let me give all the opinion here. You're a smart guy. I want to hear from you.
Well, you spent more time with more people than I did, but I know that the idea of bringing the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem to the Palestinians was a mistake. You know, to the Israelis, that would be great because that would be acknowledging that is their capital. If they, you know, and so the opinion that I was hearing on the Palestinian side, Bethlehem, was that it would be a mistake to move the embassy to Jerusalem. So, so that was what I was understanding. And the thing is, people just want to have a life. You know, every day they're doing their thing, and we were told that at the church that 65% of the people that attended were unemployed.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, we complain over here about a 6% unemployment.
Right.
They've got 65%.
That's hard to fathom, really.
All right, we're going to take our first break. Jeb is producing, Chris, Frank, and Bob, and me, and most importantly, you're here. Listening to Mac's World on 99.3. Thanks for listening.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hook my phone through your
Hi,
laptop.
my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
And did the apartment ad start?
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for the opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Okay, 21 minutes after 3 o'clock, 3:21 on the third day of January in the Lord's year 2017. I just did it, first time.
It's the future.
Well, I don't write checks. That used to be how we'd all screw up the years. For the first 3 or 4 days, we'd write the last year. I don't do checks. So for me, it was, there you go, 26. I think I probably said 2016 earlier today and didn't hear me.
I didn't notice.
515-244-0077. That's the phone number. You can call in, and we are kind of talking about the Jerusalem trip. So what else is new, right? We're going to talk about stuff around that Jerusalem trip for a long time. This week especially, with a couple of guests coming in, I want to talk about... and I know it's going to sound like we're talking politics, but I really don't want to talk politics. I want to talk about how America is taking part, how we take part in the slow demise of the Palestinian people in and around Jerusalem. I don't think for one moment I have... changed my mind and gone 180 degrees and think we need to support the Palestinian people over the Israelis. No, that didn't happen, okay? What did happen was I have a first-hand understanding of what this struggle is all about. I mean, we stayed in a Muslim-owned hotel. We lived primarily with Muslims for 7 days. We ate their food. We watched their lifestyle. And let me tell you something. That is not something I had anticipated at all in going over there. You talk about God telling me to be humble, which means to be teachable and to be open for new things. The plight of the Palestinian people simply wasn't on my radar.
Right. Same here. I didn't know what we were getting into. I didn't have any expectations. But when I tell people, hey, I memorized some Hebrew, I didn't really have a chance to use it because everybody spoke Arabic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I thought maybe it would be a mix. You think Bethlehem, and if you live in Bethlehem, then you're Jews.
Or it's Christian.
Or Christian, right. Well, Christian can be anywhere. That aren't very many Christians there. But, so that kind of surprised me that we really didn't see any other than the rabbi that we interviewed.
Yep.
And our tour guide from Jerusalem. Because our guides, the Palestinian guides we had, could not go into Jerusalem.
Yeah, we had, what's his real name? Ramsey. We had this really great tour guide, and for whatever reason, just call it a Mac thing. When he said his name, I heard Rufus. And so I continually called him Rufus until I think Bob said at some point, like on the second day, why do you call him Rufus? I don't know, it's his name. No, his name is Ramsey. And Ramsey was extremely intelligent and well-spoken Christian, but he could not go to Jerusalem because he's Palestinian. They won't let him in.
See, that's part of the bizarre controversy of this whole thing to me, as someone who doesn't follow it very much. We've got Christians in the United States that are very pro-Israel, and understandably so, and all this, but they would, what do we, Christians who are pro-Israel, think of somebody like Rufus, that's easier to say, or Ramsey? Ramsey here, who's a Palestinian, he's a Christian, he shares our faith, yet he is a part of a people group that is opposed by a people group that we support. We're choosing, you've got two ethnic groups, ethnic group A and ethnic group B, or I and P, in this case, Israel and Palestine, right? And many Christians in the United States seem to be against Palestinians for no other reason than they're for Israel. Is it that simple, or are we? Do you get what I'm saying? It seems like when I hear a lot of Christians talk about being pro-Israel, I feel for people like Ramses or Rufus or whatever.
Right. But the thing you have to consider is that there are almost 2 million Palestinians living in Israel and have businesses there and work there.
And are intermarried with some Israelis.
That may be the case, but I'm just saying that there are Palestinians that live in Israel. Now, for
so
Ramsey,
are those the same Palestinians, though, that would those people be at war with Israel?
Well, they're leaders, possibly. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's the government leadership that is at war.
Well, it's these terrorist-funded organizations of Hamas and Hezbollah that people like Iran and different Arab groups will funnel money and channel arms in. That's thus the wall. This is why they don't want people just walking into Israel strapped with a suicide vest. This slows the progress of some of that. And when they can't get their suicide vests across, then every once in a while they funnel in arms and missiles, and they start dropping missiles from inside of Palestine into Israel. You're lucky that wasn't going on when you guys were there, but that routinely goes on where they just have missiles dropping on them.
Yeah. Now, Ramsey told me that he would have to go through thorough vetting to get the correct papers so that he could go into Jerusalem. But it's difficult, and he hasn't gone through the process.
How do you think, and this is, we're speaking hypothetically, obviously, because I don't know if you asked him this direct question, but how would someone like Ramsey, being a Palestinian Christian, view Israel as a country? I mean, is he, when he hears about Americans being pro-Israel, when the United States standing with Israel, making policies that are on the side of Israel, would you think he sees those as a good thing?
Well, the pastor of the Bethlehem church there in Bethlehem, named Corey, he said that he's learned that he's instructed to love everyone, including the Israelis. And so that's his stance. And his feeling is the way that you win people over to having that same viewpoint is you've got to reach out to the Muslims to tell them about Jesus. So it's knowing Jesus that's going to make a difference. And he also expressed the reality that they're not getting the support they need because they're not in Israel itself, or they're not a part of Israel. They're Palestinians, and many people in America look at them as the enemy when they're Christians that really are in support of Israel. And so, they're the ones that can reach out to those that are there, the Arabs that are there in Bethlehem. And so they also need our support, prayers, finances, and so forth, to help their mission of bringing people to the Lord, bringing the Arabs and the Palestinians to the Lord, because that's the answer. And so they understand what's going on. They don't want war. But they're also being persecuted there by their own people.
Right, because they're kind of in the middle in a sense, right? I mean, they're on neither side to a degree. They're standing with Christ, someone in the middle between the IDF, is that right? The Israeli Defense Forces, right?
Right.
And Palestine, right? So the government of Israel and the government of the Palestinian state. And being Palestinians, they're ethnically a part of one group, but being pro-Israel as a country, so. Anyway, that's interesting. I did not realize that much about. That's Pastor Stephen Corey you're talking about, who is.
It was his dad that has the church in Bethlehem.
But
his father.
Here's the fundamental problem in my mind. There's people who want peace here. The average normal citizen on the street in Bethlehem, I don't think wants constant turmoil with Israel. But you got people who want to deny Israel the very right to exist, which is funneling money into these terrorist organizations to torpedo the process. So whenever they get to the point where they want to talk about settlements, Palestine ends up walking away from the table because they don't really want peace. They want Israel not to exist. Israel has to make a stand in the ground. So thus this constant bickering and fighting back and forth, and there just never seems to be any end to it.
Well, there will not be peace. We know that.
No.
I mean, biblically speaking, not until the Lord returns.
Yeah, and one of the conversations that I had while I was gone was on the plane ride back with Mary, who I told you was a 30-something-year-old female mother of 3, retired United States Army, living in Oklahoma, waiting for her husband to retire completely from the Army, and then they're going to move probably to Washington State. But she's 100% Palestinian, and she's also a journalist. And you don't get to sit with Mac for 10 hours on a plane and be that wrapped up in something that I'm passionate about. So, God, and I'm just, I see him in so many more things now than I did before I went. And Chris, I don't know how that is. I can't explain that. I just, I told somebody the other day, Jesus always sits on the right-hand side of me, and he holds my hand, and he'll whisper in my ear, you can't say that with me around. That's not acceptable. Kind of as a conscience, I don't know. It's a guide. But now I feel like I've been on vacation with him. I mean, we bonded. It's just different. I can't explain. I wish I could explain it. I wish I could bottle it and sell it for tithe money and give to my church, because it'd be incredible. But I can't put into words how this thing has changed me. It's just the relationship's grown. That's all I can say. So to sit next to me for 10 hours on a plane, a Campbell soup can, holding 348 or how many people? 348?
Something like that, yep.
Across the ocean.
That's bigger than some towns in Iowa.
Yeah. And a third of them were Hasidic Jews, and I really enjoyed meeting them and talking to them. Did I say that right? Hasidic?
Hasidic, yeah.
Yeah, and those are the most conservative, with the hair that's twirled, and they all wear the black hats and the white shirts and the black ties and the black pants and the black coat, and they all. But sitting next to Mary, it was a journalist's dream to sit next to this person and talk to her about Palestinians and Israel. And the one comment she made, she made a lot of comments that made a lot of sense, but the one thing she said, she goes, one of the problems is we don't know who should represent us in negotiations. Is it Hamas? Is it Hezbollah? Is it, it used to be Arafat, and then Arafat went away, and then they get new people, and about the time we think we can put together a peace process, one of these factions, Palestinian factions, blows something up, like Frank said. Blows something up, and Israel goes, you can't even take care of your own. How are we supposed to negotiate with you when we're working on this and you can't control Hamas, or you can't control Hezbollah, or whatever it is?
Well, here's something very important into it, and it's the killing of civilians. And obviously, when somebody comes in with a suicide vest and they blow up civilians, that's Israel's going to take action. And sometimes in their actions, civilians are getting hurt, but Israel in no way, shape, or form, in my opinion, goes after and targets civilians with a practice, with purpose.
All right, let's take our next break. 515-244-0077 is the phone number you can call. Coming in the 4 o'clock hour, Rabbi David Kaufman will be in, and we're going to hear a little bit from him. And then on Thursday, Mary, the Palestinian woman that I sat on the plane, will be with us on the phone here live in Mac's World.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I can only imagine what it will be like when I walk by your side. I can only imagine what my eyes will see when your face is before me.
3:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Of course, the massive hit that drove Mercy Me to the pop charts. I can only imagine what a beautiful song. And I got to tell you, that all came alive over in Israel. I had people tell me over and over and over and over and over that it'll change you and that you won't see the Bible the same way. And I thought, I don't know, Dick saw Sue and see Spot run, and I'm not sure seeing Spot or Dick would make a big difference in that book, but it does. When that song was playing, I was thinking about my experience in the Garden of Gethsemane, which was one of the experiences I've had over there, a place where God, I was humble enough, I was ready enough, I was beaten up enough, whatever you want to call it, to really hear the Holy Spirit speak into my life. And the Garden of Gethsemane was one of them. And he was there. I don't know. I don't want to sound like some crazy evangelical freak, but he was there. I don't know. Bob, can you put it any different for me, or?
I don't know. I've heard some people say it puts color into, your scriptures and when you actually see the places where Jesus walked, where he taught.
We walked the 12 stations of the cross on Christmas Eve. Can you imagine? On Christmas Eve, we walked the stations of the cross and then ended up in a Arminian, right? Isn't that the service that we ended up in where Jesus was crucified?
It certainly could have been Arminian, but to me, I don't know what language they're speaking. They're dressed in priestly robes. They're chanting. So it's hard for me to know who's doing that. But
yeah, but I don't think that was Latin.
I don't know, but the tour guides sometimes would know. But I got in a little argument with one of them as far as biblical accuracy.
You did? Which one?
Sam.
About what? I didn't know this. You didn't tell me this.
I know. I didn't. You remember when Betty was reading John 21?
No, I don't.
We were at the restaurant, and I handed her John 21, and she goes, "Oh, Bob, you're right." I said, "Yeah."
We were at the restaurant. Davino's?
Yeah, I think it was that one. Yeah.
Okay, so what did Sam say that you disagreed with?
Well, when Jesus was asking Peter if Peter loved him, he was saying that was around the Last Supper. And I said, no, it wasn't around the Last Supper. I said, first of all, and he goes, yes, it was. And he says, it's over here. And I'm going, no. Anyway, I ended it, and I said, so I showed, Betty and Dick, this is where it was. Peter denied Jesus 3 times. And he said that he would deny him in the last, Last Supper. And so he did. Well, after the resurrection, that's when Jesus asked Peter, Peter, do you love me?
He asked him 3 times.
My sheep. Right.
Yep.
To restore him back.
Wasn't in that conversation also that Christ told Peter that he would probably die following him on the cross?
No, that was not part of our conversation.
No, but I mean...
Yeah. That's when he was talking about that. That's when then Peter said, what about John,
Right.
He says, none of your business, basically, paraphrasing.
Right.
Chris, we were talking when the mics were off for a little bit about you thought it was strange to hear out of my mouth the term, the plight of the Palestinians.
Yeah. In evangelical circles, we fervently and frequently say we stand with Israel, we're for Israel, bless Israel, we pray for Israel. And you guys experienced firsthand the plight of the Palestinian. Here you have a people group, a nationality that are at war with Israel that we as Christians say that we're for. Christians are putting our hats, American Christians a lot of times, are putting our hat in the ring of a war. Oftentimes, we're picking sides in a physical battle. There's real war. There's real death. Israelis are killing Palestinians and so on and so forth. And you guys saw firsthand the wreckage of this, the difficulty that it is to live in such a state under a siege of war and the challenges that people have. And I just think that's interesting. I don't know that a lot of times you hear in America Christians talking about the plight of Palestinians. I don't think I hear that a lot. I think we just hear the rhetoric over and over again. I stand with Israel. I'm for Israel. But why are we for Israel? Why are we pro-Israel? And what do we mean when we say that? Now Christians, what do you guys mean when you say that? If you were to say, Mac, I stand with Israel, what would you mean?
Well, it's different now, though.
It's different now.
Yeah,
okay.
But before I went to Jerusalem, I would have said, the Palestinians are a whole bunch of terrorists, and they can't be trusted, and they ought to get the heck out of Jerusalem and go back to Syria or somewhere, but leave them alone, or just leave the Jews alone. And now it's become a little bit more human. When I sat there with this young mother of 3 for 10 hours, and the passion, she had as much passion at the end of that flight that she did in the beginning. And she showed me some of the footage that she's got on these documentaries and interviewing some of the people, and her own grandmother. She interviewed her own grandmother who's lived in Palestine, Bethlehem, all of her life. And you just realize that these people have been, what's the term? There's a term I keep trying to think of, and I can never think of the term, but they've been suppressed. There's the term, suppressed. And it's because there's a few yahoos over there who think that it's their job to be a terrorist and to blow everything up. And as soon as Israel and Palestine start to talk about something, these guys blow up something because they know that'll end the peace talks, because they don't want peace. But I don't know how many people that is, Chris. I don't know if that's 1%, if that's 10%, but it isn't 50%.
Yeah, it's the government. I mean, look at what's going on, things that the government does, the current government, that we don't agree with. But we don't have...
government of ours?
Our government. I mean, I'm just saying that, we can't do anything about what the government does on our behalf, if you want to call it that. That's the same thing with the Palestinians. Palestinian Authority, they're the ones that are dealing, and whatever they want, everybody has to follow, even if they don't agree with that.
But in large parts of the Arab world, Israel is considered little Satan and the United States is considered big Satan. And we both are targeted in fatwas for destruction. So how do you deal with people who don't feel that Israel even has the right to exist? There can't be no negotiations with those type of people. Now, the average Palestinian sitting there just wanting to peace and quiet, and maybe their sons or daughters are intermarried between Palestinians and Israelis. They got grandkids. They don't want in the middle of this fight. But there's people who want to torpedo this process.
Yeah, Frank's exactly right. And I just simply didn't understand that. I think I was ignorant, or I was choosing to be ignorant. I just didn't. I had made my mind up. I'm black and white. There's the bad guy. There's the good guy. Yay, good guy. Bad guy.
Well, can you understand now, possibly, why some people, even here in the United States, are not pro-Israel? They're not for Israel.
Yeah.
These are not... So folks that have no spiritual bent at all, they just look at the situation politically, and they say you have this minority group, a small group, and they're at war with the majority, and they're causing the problems. If they would just stop doing what they're doing, things would be calmer.
Yeah. All right, let's take our last break. We'll come back. We're looking forward to having Rabbi David Kaufman in and getting some more input from Israel on this. We're live in Mac's World on the 3rd day of January, 2017.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
All my life I had big dreams to do big things and make a change. And all the while I just passed
10 minutes before 4 o'clock, 3:50 in the afternoon. I'm J. Michael McCoy. This is Mac's World, the 2017 edition. And, I haven't had a chance to congratulate Jebediah yet. He graduated from college. Or, wait, you didn't graduate yet, right? Or you did?
I did graduate. The ceremony hasn't taken place yet. That'll be in April.
So you're not... That's applause from my cheap little applause button. So you're done with classes. You don't go to school anymore.
Yep.
And do you know what your GPA was for graduation?
I think it was about 3.72, 3.73 maybe.
There's Jebediah. And so now we get Jebediah full-time around here, and we're glad to hear that. How long have you been here?
Let's see.
When did you
it was
start?
About March or April maybe.
I don't know.
So that'd be a year this March or April.
Okay.
Somewhere around then.
Yeah, your benefit, your full-time benefits kick in after 71 years.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just so you know, you only got 70 to go. All right, we have Rabbi David Kaufman in next hour, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about the Israeli-Palestinian situation, which and then on Thursday I've got Mary, who's a Palestinian woman who's doing a documentary on Palestine and the strife of the people, the plight of the Palestinians, I think it's called. So we're going to continue to talk about that.
And I just wanted to let everybody know, if you're excited about hearing more about Mac's trip, there's going to be an opportunity for you tomorrow at lunch. So the first Wednesday of every month is the Testify meeting. A group of folks get together for lunch the first Wednesday of the month at the Pizza Ranch on 86th Street in Urbandale. And every month we hear a testimony of what God is doing in someone's life. And this month, January, tomorrow, 12 to 1 at Pizza Ranch, we're going to hear from you, Mac. You're going to share more of your stories, see pictures. People are going to be able to talk to you, ask questions. So if you'd like to do that, there's no cost to come and hang out with us. It's Pizza Ranch, so you're welcome to come, pay for the buffet, and eat all you want and hang out with us. We'll be in the room where generally, when you go into that Pizza Ranch, if you look at where the soda machines are, there is a door directly to the right, and you go in that door, and that's where we are in one of the little conference rooms right there.
Yeah.
11:30, you say?
We start at noon. So if you want to get a little bit early, we'll go from noon to 1 is kind of when the actual stuff gets going. So most people show up between 11:30, 11:45 and grab some food and get seated.
Yeah, try to get eaten, and then Frank, are you going to come for once? You've never been to one.
They have non-pork products there.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I know.
You've never been to a Testify. Do we have to just tell people that you're going to give your testimony to get you there? That would do it, wouldn't it? I'm going to tell Frank that he's going to give his testimony sometime, and then a minute.
3 hours later, they're going to be going.
No, a minute before you're supposed to start, I'll say, "Oh, I shoot, I gave somebody else the day," and then you're stuck there. Then you can't leave, Frank.
That's right.
Are you coming tomorrow, Bob? Do you know?
I'm going to try.
Okay, good, because I'd like you to put your input in there, and I know Betty and Dick are out of town. I'm going to call Craig and see if he wants to come. Craig, man, he is just a super guy. I really enjoyed getting to know him on this trip and being baptized together in the Jordan River and then going to the Wailing Wall and him, kind of surrendering a little bit more of his son's death. And Craig wore Brandon's shoes and swimming trunks in his backpack, so he walked with Brandon everywhere. And then that was the big thing for the baptism, is to be washed clean in the river that Jesus was baptized himself in. And by the way, it is the dirtiest river I've ever seen in my life.
I was going to ask, how was the water?
I mean, it literally looked like chocolate syrup floating down the deal. And across from us, 20 yards, Bob, is the other shore?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not very wide.
It's Jordan.
And that's Jordan. And there's an army guy there with a machine gun. And if somebody tries to swim from Jordan to Israel, he shoots them.
And vice versa.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
And the thing that was interesting was there was a narrow road that we drove down to get to that.
Yeah, listen to this. This is great.
And I didn't realize it, nor did any of us in the group, but the fields on either side of the road were mined.
Mined, like mines. They blow up. Mines. Yeah. So if you got out of the car and got off the road, you'd step on a landmine and boom, there you go.
Yeah. But
And
they
Bob
had
thought
signs.
that was hilarious. Did you get a picture taken by the sign?
I did. I
Okay.
took a photo with the church in the background, that little church.
Yeah.
And I said I wanted to go see that church, but I changed my mind. And then I have the sign that says Mind Field just below.
I think I saw that picture now. I'm going to look at it again because maybe I missed the joke.
Yeah.
Or the point. Yeah. That's wild.
So anyway, it was awesome to have Craig come on, and if he can come to Pizza Ranch tomorrow, that'd be great too. And he had some wonderful feedback, and I know the trip had an impact on him spiritually also. I just didn't know it would have such an impact on me. I really didn't. And it was nothing I thought about. I thought, oh, getting baptized in the Jordan, man, that'll be the big spiritual moment. No, it was cool, but that wasn't the big spiritual moment. I thought going to the Church of the Nativity and actually being down there where Jesus was born, and sitting there. And the only thing that happened there a lot of things happened, don't get me wrong, but one of the things that happened there I thought was interesting. I had given Dick my phone to take a picture of Craig and I. And when he handed me my phone back, he showed me a picture of me with my hands together like I was praying. And I had no idea that happened. I would have told you that somebody doctored the picture. I do not remember putting my hands together in a praying position when Craig and I were sitting in front of that it's a cave, basically. Jesus was born in a cave, not a manger, or so they say. But anyway, we'll be there tomorrow. Testify at the Blue Ribbon Ranch. No, what's it called? Pizza Ranch. And
even think
Frank
they have
will be.
anything
You're
blue.
going to be there, right, Frank?
I hadn't planned on it. No.
Why wouldn't you be there?
I don't know.
I mean, 2 of your cohorts are going to tell the story. The other cohort's going to be there. Jeb's coming. Why are you the only one that doesn't get to come?
And nobody's supposed to watch the shop here?
Well, Ron can watch the shop.
Okay.
So you give him a desk and a
I know.
computer, and
I
look
know.
what
It
happens.
all goes to my head.
He's the power man,
Do we need to get him? Is your name on any sign around here?
No, but speaking of which, let's just get my name right on the desk.
All right, let's take a break. We look forward to having Rabbi Kaufman on next hour and listening to. I just want to have a conversation. I need to have a conversation about what I learned over there, and he's the guy I trust for that. So he'll be in, and we'll get to talk about that. If you'd like to send a text or any other information, it's 809-0993. That's from Service Legends. And, of course, First Call Bail Bonds, who reminds you to not text and drive. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on The Truth. 99.3 FM. Yep, The Truth.